Bring your own guitar, old buddy. Bring your old guitar. We'll talk and drink and laugh and sing, but bring your own guitar.
So I was, if you weren't a singer songwriter, when you were a little boy out in California, did you want to be a fireman? What did you, or did you?
Baseball player.
Baseball.
Yeah.
Were you any good?
I was really good.
Really?
Yeah. My dad played in the White Sox farm system before World War II, before he got drafted, and loved baseball. And I'm the youngest of 3 boys, and we all played. My dad coached, Little League and all that. And when I started to play, my dad's like, "Oh, this kid, he's a lefty," and he
a pitcher?
Yeah, I was a pitcher, and I was a lefty. I had a little sidearm thing going. I was scaring kids. I have a great song about it I wrote years later. But anyway, it's a classic musical guy story. I went to a concert because I was really into music as a kid. I was in a band, and my drummer had a motorcycle. Got on the back of his motorcycle, and we rode to this concert, which was outside of Los Angeles, big festival, and we got in an accident, and I messed my knee up. My dad had worked out a situation for me to get a walk-on with the Padres and do like a tryout after my high school, which I had 1 year left. I was going to be a senior that year, and I messed my knee up, just completely messed my knee up. It was just swollen for 6 months. It kept getting fluid on it, and I was going to get surgery.
You and Stephen A. Smith. I don't know if you've heard that. Stephen A. Smith's got a 6-inch screw in his knee.
Does he really? Oh,
no, just
well, I mean, it kept me out long enough for me to be sitting on the bed and picking up a guitar, and then a couple girls came over to see how I was doing, and I said a couple of songs. And then when I got a little bit better, I ended up playing like a talent show and won the talent show. So it was the beginning of the shift. The girls were in the front row, so I was shifting to the music thing, and sports completely left me.
Huh.
No, I mean, as like a pursue.
Yep.
And but what I learned and what I learned from my old man in the music business, but that was my game. That's how I learned. Because there were so many little league games that were state championship games.
Yep.
Lost one in the bottom of the 6th inning. I was pitching a no-hitter the whole game, and then I walked the guy and stole second. Guy bunted him to third. I think we were up 1-0. It was a real close game, and it was 2 outs, and there was a pop fly to the mound, and it was my ball to catch, and the game was over, and the catcher barreled into me, and technically, I'm supposed to get out of the way, I guess, but he barreled into me. The ball went on the ground. The guy scored. The guy that hit the ball got up. Anyway, we lost the game 2-1. I never forgot. Neil Gutman was the catcher. I never forgot that guy. But I carried those losses and some of the victories I had into music with me. When I started to navigate what I was going to do and when I was getting rejected, I was like, man, this is like losing in baseball. This hurts. I got to figure out a way to win this game. And that became my MO, was how am I going to win my own game, So that's my story.
Who would have thunk it
that
Jeffrey Steele, the amazing singer-songwriter, like Stephen A. Smith, was this close to being a professional athlete.
Everybody has that story.
Yeah,
Everybody's got that story.
Welcome to BYOG, Jason and Jeffrey. And Jeffrey, I asked you that question to start the show because today we have a guest, David Cone, who was a high-level football recruit.
Absolutely.
University of Michigan quarterback. And like myself, who was a mid-major, mediocre football player at Ball State, we had to transition.
Yeah.
We had to reshape our identities. Yeah. We went from being athletes to trying to reshape our identities, and we both landed up in the conservative media space, as me as a journalist, David as a podcaster. David Cone, welcome to BYOG.
Welcome, David.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute honor, and I apologize in advance for the 50% of the audience that just clicked off because I'm not the Yankees pitcher who threw a perfect game. I do apologize. Someone tweeted at me just yesterday, David Cohn, we love when you call the Yankees games. I said,
man.
I'm here to please. I'm here to please.
You get that all the time?
A lot. Actually, a big part of my life was complete when David Cohn, the baseball pitcher, quote tweeted me on Twitter one time. Finally, he knows I exist, and he called me a brother from another mother and said I kept up with your career at Michigan. So he does know that I'm alive and I exist. My dad was pretty angry when he debuted for the Yankees after naming me David Cohn. But anyway, that's an aside. I'm honored to be here. Thank you, sir. Big fan of yours, and I'm a big fan of yours as well. So
Thank you.
It's gonna be a good time.
So Jeffrey, David's here not just because of the transition into conservative media. He's trying to take on a third identity, or he has taken on one in the country music lane.
And this is where you want me to talk him out of it, right?
Join the club.
So you give him all the advice. He knows what he's doing in the media. He probably needs your help in the music space.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, for me, my as an athlete, I loved playing the game, and that was my life. And when the music took over and I really got into music and that became my focus, and you start chasing that for 10 years or so, and you're hitting walls everywhere you go because you are trying to do your own thing, you start finding people, if you just do it this way, we can get you in over here, get you in. But I really wanted to do it my way. So as I navigated, I would start finding people that I could surround myself with that could help me bring out what was inside of me as a, singer-songwriter.
Sure.
And let me pursue the ideas that I really wanted to pursue. So I don't know if you've seen any of that.
First off, I just wanted to say I'm sorry for your injury that derailed your career.
It was a real one.
I really am. But the bright side of that is you get to tell people that without that you would have been in the majors. See, I have to tell people.
That's the famous
I have
story.
to just tell people I just wasn't good enough. I reached my peak. I just had my pinnacle.
But it is a really common musician story. A lot of musicians were athletes.
Oh yeah.
And do you feel like you carry your game into your music a little bit?
100%. The more frustrating aspect of music, I mean, when you get on a field and you're playing a game, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, whatever, there's an end goal and there's a number of points, and you can see who scored more and you can see who didn't score as many. There's so much subjectivity when it comes to music, and there's like this darker side of the industry with, how is it working, pay for play? Can you just write a great song and it be discovered anymore? Or is it all about relationships? What's the line between that? And I just think, I see Riley Green up here on the wall behind you talking about another former quarterback, Sam Hunt, Riley Green. Riley Green has a great line in that Damn Country Music song of, needing yes, but hearing no. Yeah. It's just like, it's a real part of the industry.
No, it's a good thing, though. And by the way, Riley Green just released one of my old songs, Cowboy and Me.
Did you get paid off that?
Really?
Yeah.
Is that where the cash register
I
ring?
want to pick up a couple jet skis. I got us a couple jet skis, matching G-string, sparkly thongs. We can go out on the lake.
Yeah.
Look, my weekend just freed up. So,
But
Darby Lou told me yes through some happy tears. We were just a couple kids, more scared than we appeared. I'd have been hard-pressed to rub 2 pennies to my name, and on that knee I put kings to shame. My life began there in the fall of 21, when the doctor called me dad, handed me a son. When I think of things I trade for $1 million, oh, that moment sure ain't one. I've the soul. Life ain't been all roses, boy, I've had my share of downs. But if you don't count the money, I'm the richest man in town. There's a mansion in the sky, money just can't buy, and I hope to call it home, sweet home. There's a mansion in the sky, money just can't buy, and I hope we call it home, sweet home. You know I've held diamonds wrapped in gold, but they can't beat the fortunes of the soul. Life ain't been all roses, boy, I've had my share of downs. But if you don't count the money, I'm the richest man around. If you don't count the money, I'm the richest man in town.
Damn.
Wow. Love that hook, man. Woo.
David,
Thoughts?
did you write that?
I did write that.
You wrote that.
Yes, sir.
That's good.
That's good. That's good stuff, man.
That's good.
Good
Why?
stuff.
You like that one?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Love it.
And the title, Richest Man in Town, or Richest?
Richest Man in Town. I wrote it earlier this year. I was driving home on 65. I had this idea, Richest Man in Town, and my parents were actually in town that weekend. And my father's actually my biggest songwriting fan. And he was there over the course of 48 hours while he was there, and I knocked this song out from a Saturday and Sunday. And it was so cool to like have him there and like experience sort of the songwriting process, to be here. And when I finished it, I knew, man, that's got to go on the recording list.
Yeah. Did you play it for your dad?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And man, he loved it. And when Kent got done producing it, I thought, man, that's got to be the title track on the album. I really was trying to get to this distinction between being rich and having a lot of money, and I don't think they're synonymous. You know? And so,
So that's the title of your album as well?
Perfect, right? That's great. That's
Awesome. All right.
But the no, and I teach a lot of music classes and songwriting classes, and the no is it's a good thing to get, and because it really it either breaks your spirit or it strengthens it as you go through it. And I always found that those no's would eventually push me into a place where I'd meet somebody that would say, yes, I love what you're doing. Let's chase what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then you sometimes have to look at the music business as like, it might be 10 years, it might be 5 years, it might be 6 months from now. But once you resign to that, it lifts a lot of weight off I got to get there before I'm 40, or you know what I mean? Before I'm 30, because a lot of these kids are like worried about their age, and I think it's irrelevant.
Yeah, I saw something recently that was talking about that 10-year, grinding for 10 years and then making it. And hey, you're only 10 years away from someone calling you an overnight success.
Exactly what it is.
A part of that too. But I know we're going to talk about the record, but I have to say, this album was produced by Mr. Kent Wells, Nashville legend, Dolly Parton's producer, and while I moved to Nashville for sports media.
You have Dolly Parton's producer, and you're getting ahead of myself.
Dolly Parton's producer produced my record. And that's why, to your point, he said yes. When you hear no and no and no and no, and he said, yes, I'll take a listen to some of your work tapes. And I got him to his assistant, and he texted me back that night and said, can you come in and meet with Kent next week?
And you never know where that's going to come from, and you have to keep turning over those rocks. It's so cliche, but you just keep turning them over.
I want to say this very respectfully, but are you any uncomfortable? Like the same person that produced big-breasted, blonde, attractive woman. It's like, you know what?
Working
sounded a lot like Dolly. I mean,
no, I actually, I want to do a whole album with her if he'll have me. Like, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
but
no
I'll tell
kidding.
you what, something that is cool though is half the songs we recorded on this record, Dolly Parton sang through that microphone right before my session time. Like that's like, I'm here. I'm in Nashville. I'm in the thick of it. Like that was something that wouldn't have been possible back in Atlanta. And Atlanta had, Atlanta's where I got married. Atlanta's where I bought my first house. I'm a Georgia boy. Yeah. But moving here, and it wasn't even for music. My dad was wanting me to move to Nashville for years and years. Like, your songs are too good. You need to move to Nashville. It's going to be too difficult to make it outside of that ecosystem.
Right.
Serendipitous. I move here for sports media, and I'm like, I've got these songs. I need to cut these songs. I heard yes. Kent Wells said yes, and we cut songs.
Is that a sign from God, you think?
I think it is. And I haven't told anyone else this story, but I'll tell you guys. The night before we tracked this album, I was restringing my Martin, the Martin that I played here today. Yeah. And I tuning the high E. I was done stringing, and I said, God, we're going in the studio tomorrow. Like, if this is something I should be doing, like, let me know. If not, whatever. That high E string popped. And I thought, man, like right in the middle of when I'm saying like a final, I hadn't even told my wife this, to be honest, but wow. And I got it back. I got the E string back to where it was like, that wasn't a wasted string. And I just thought,
it didn't break. It just popped off
It popped off before I was done. Yeah. And I thought either that's a sign to like, I shouldn't be doing this and I should just focus on, what I moved here for, or that's a sign that, no, it's gonna take a little bit more tenacity, like don't quit, at the first sign of adversity. So I don't know, but I do think that God has led me here to this city, to this place, and I love music. I've always loved music, and I hope it's a part of my future.
Let me put a little more context on the conversation and bring the audience all the way up to speed. Yes, David Cohn works with the Daily Wire, and Crain Company hosts a show there. I know a lot of people know who David is, but let's give out some details here a little bit. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. You're a high school football player in Atlanta area?
Statesboro. I'm from where Georgia Southern University is.
Gotcha.
My father had gone to Georgia Southern College, and I was born in Greenville, North Carolina. My mom was teaching at ECU, and my dad said, if you ever get a chance to teach at this little college I went to, Georgia Southern College, which was then Georgia Southern University, you should take it. Well, she did get that opportunity. We moved there when I was 2. So I was really raised in Statesboro, Georgia, where Irk Russell was a legendary football coach. You got the Greg Hill playing quarterback, Tracy Ham, Adrian Peterson. So I grew up with just a deep love for country music and college football. And Allman Brothers obviously have, Statesboro Blues. And so that's where I'm from.
Tell us about your high school football career. Just
Statesboro High School. I got to start as a sophomore because we had 2,000-yard tailbacks behind me, and the coach said, "You're pretty good at not fumbling, so that's you can turn around and hand it off," which was exactly what I needed as a sophomore quarterback. Not out there trying to single-handedly win games.
What years are these?
This was 2003.
Gotcha.
We go to the state title, and we lose to Marist, whose quarterback was a young man by the name of Sean McVay, who's now the head coach of the Los Angeles Rams, and he was player of the year that year. Right. That's all right. We'll get him next year, Go back to the state title, 14-0. As a junior, we're up at halftime, and we lose to Warner Robins. So I lose 2 state titles in a row. Thought, man, can we get one my senior year? Mm-hmm. Senior year, 15-0. State champs. We beat Northside Warner Robins, and by that time I had already committed to play football at the University of Michigan, and that was I just wanted to play college football. I wanted to go to the NFL. I wanted to be the best who ever played, but the first step of that was, hey, let's win a state championship, and then let's go play college football. And I had no intentions to go 1,000 miles away from home, but that high school where I went, Statesboro High School, we ran the wishbone. We didn't throw a lot. Sometimes
you're like a Brett Favre story. Brett Favre's dad wouldn't let him throw the ball and ran the wishbone.
Mississippi or Southern Miss, the Southern Miss. Yeah. So ran the wishbone and didn't get to throw a lot, but I went to a lot of these camps. My dad got an old van. He put me in the back of it. He drove me around this entire country, seeing how many scholarship offers I could get. And the University of Michigan offered me a scholarship. And I said, I didn't want to go that far away from home. I wanted to go to Florida State or Auburn or South Carolina was interested when Lou Holtz was the head coach before Steve Spurrier took over. But when the winningest program in the history of the sport with the biggest stadium says you got to come play quarterback for us, you say yes. And I said yes as someone whose mother is from Columbus, Ohio. So I haven't heard from her side of the family for quite some time.
Gotcha. So who's in the quarterback room when you're at Michigan?
Chad Henne. Chad Henne was the starting quarterback when I was there, and man, he was the best I ever saw. Man, he was incredible, and obviously he started even before I got there as a true freshman. Yeah, and he played for 4 years.
So this is 2005 or 6?
I was there 06 to 2010.
So Tom Brady had been gone for
6 years, 7 years.
Did you ever get to meet Brady?
No,
Never?
but I'd like to. So if you can hook that up.
He never came back to Michigan and talked to you guys before a game?
No, and I don't know all the details, so I don't want to like speak out of school. But Lloyd Carr was my head coach at Michigan, and Lloyd Carr was his head coach at Michigan, and Drew Henson came in as a top-rated player. It was a lot like my situation with Ryan Mallett coming in behind me, except I didn't go on to win 7 Super Bowls. You see what I'm saying? Like that's like a little bit of the difference.
Details.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. He never came back to the program when I was there, and then our boy Brady Hoke takes over.
Yes.
Brady comes back to the program, talks to the team, and all that. So I didn't get to experience that, but Chad Henne was a starting quarterback when I was there. He was incredible, and serving as one of his backups, to watch him then go to the NFL and serve as Patrick Mahomes' backup for multiple Super Bowls, it really does show you there are levels to this,
So doesn't work out for you as a pro. What do you do coming out of college? You're a Michigan grad that qualifies you for a lot of jobs, I would imagine. What did you do?
That was a really important section of my life right there, because I wanted to go to the NFL and I worked so hard for it and didn't have a backup plan, and they take so few. Again, the guy I was a backup for is a backup for Patrick Mahomes, and he's one that made it, right? And so there were conversations, all the coaching staff, which by that time Rich Rodriguez had come in. So I played for Rich Rodriguez for 2 years, and that wasn't my style of offense. There was no way I was going to play. And so there were conversations, should I transfer out? Obviously, the transfer portal was a lot different then than it is now. I was going to have to sit out. But should I transfer out? Should I stay and get a Michigan degree? If I do, I can probably still play in the NFL if I'm good enough. Matt Gutierrez had just done that a few years before, played for the Patriots. And if I'm not good enough, then I need to stay here and get this degree anyway and do something different. Well, that coaching staff wanted me to get into coaching. My dad wanted me to go to law school. He went to Arkansas Law School. And I saw everything that was happening with video production and the way that it was taken off, and the video production industry, everything is getting produced on your phone. Everything that has a screen, someone had to produce that. And I loved films and I loved music. And so I moved back to Atlanta, that was closer to home, and I took some film school classes. I started getting work in video production, and I started writing songs. I taught myself how to play guitar off of YouTube. And
had you written before that?
Hip hop, there's.
I was gonna say, weren't you connected to Outkast, Andre 3000, and Big Boy? Weren't you a rapper at some point?
Not to that level. I was a locker room. When there come to pillars of my songwriting, which I'd love to talk with you about at some point, just influences and stuff. Which I know we'll get into all that, but there was a period there playing football where it was all hip hop for me.
Sure,
it was all hip hop because you're in the locker room and like it's go out and beat this team as badly as you can. And so I did a lot of hip hop, and I had a little studio, and not anything that I'm gonna let you hear, Jason.
Eminem
bury that. But there was and then into
the original Vanilla Ice. You kind of look like Vanilla Ice a little bit with the hair.
It was more T.I. and Lil Wayne and Pastor Troy for me, and but that kind of segued into like Red Hot Chili Peppers a little bit, which kind of had that sort of vibe and stuff, and Sublime, and like there was all this sort of new musical influences that were coming out for me. But where are we going with that?
Oh, you were about to tell us how you got into the media space, how you ended up at the Daily Wire.
So by the time I moved to Atlanta, it was, there was some hip hop influence in my songwriting and stuff, but I wanted to teach myself how to play guitar, this versatile instrument that's mobile, that you can carry anywhere. And I taught myself how to play off YouTube. And obviously there was big John Mayer influences and Jack Johnson influence. And I was trying to play a lot of the places where John Mayer started down there. So I'd play Smith's Old Bar 4 or 5 times a year. I'd play Eddie's Attic. Playing Eddie's Attic. Eddie's Attic, the first time I got booked at Eddie's Attic, it was just like, man, this is cool. Like I finally got in here. Like talking about here and no.
Give me the time frame.
This is 2013, 14, 15, finally hear yes from Eddie's Attic. That's one of those yeses that keeps you moving along.
Yes.
But music was not paying my bills. Video production was paying my bills. And I think that a lot of sports companies and companies like Coca-Cola and Gatorade, companies that needed commercials, they liked the fact that I played quarterback and could go and direct and produce these sports videos and have 10 or 12 different department heads asking me questions all at the same time. And so for 10 years, that's what I did. From 2010 to 2020, I was producing videos, sometimes working for boutique production companies or marketing firms. The latter part of that, leading into COVID, I was running my own video production company, but songwriting all the time on the side and playing shows when I
Pre-guitar,
could.
were you programming music, or were you just rapping over it, like when you're saying you were...
In college,
have
when it
somebody
was hip
doing
hop, there was
music
beats.
production?
You could download a beat, for free and do all that kind of stuff. But when I taught myself how to play guitar, that's one of the things I wanted to be responsible for the music.
Yeah.
If you download an instrumental or a beat, like that's not your work. I mean, like you can speak over it or whatever. But yeah, by this time I was writing all original songs and playing Smith's Old Bar in Eddie's Attic, and I would come up for like the Nashville Wine and Food Festival. I remember 2016, 17, 18, the Nashville Wine and Food Festival had me here like 3 years in a row. So it was like I didn't live here, but I could come up here and play songs, which was pretty cool to like be in.
So have you ever done like the Bluebird Cafe? That's like...
I haven't done the Bluebird
that's
Cafe.
Like the
that's what I need
church
to go
of
do.
Nashville in terms of...
That's what I wanted to see, start here and see if I was good enough to go over there to Bluebird, and you guys tell me. But anyway, COVID changed so much. COVID changed so much, and I'd love to hear y'all's story on COVID too. But when COVID hit, I got married in November of 2019. We just bought our first house.
And so
they say the outbreak in the U.S. was December 2019, and really it was March 2020 when
it was March.
I'm looking around
February,
like, are you
March.
like, I just got married, I just bought my first house, I run an independent video production company. I'm gonna go bankrupt. Like what are we gonna do? And all the shows got canceled, music shows, and I thought, well, forget music shows, man. I gotta figure out a way to support my new family here. Turns out I picked up a couple new medical clients, and I did 3 of the best years that I've ever done right there in COVID by just focusing in on it. And in the middle of all that, I met 2 brothers, Jake and Blaine Crain. Because of COVID, they were coaching college football. They couldn't go back to coaching. I think Montana State, you guys got to stay home for right now until we figure out what this thing is.
Right.
Well, Jake started an audio-only football podcast. So by the time we met each other through a marketing director in Atlanta, I said, I run a video production company. I'm taking every lunch. I'm taking every meeting. I'm trying to figure out, he was one client out of, a half dozen that I had that I was trying to support my family. And Colin Cowherd called. Colin Cowherd loved the show after we put it on video. I became in front of the camera. I was on the show then. And it was only 3 months later, Ben Shapiro himself called and said, look, we love your show. Would you consider moving to Nashville?
You said Ben Shapiro himself. Was there another Ben Shapiro that could have called, or only?
No, but I just mean when someone of that status calls, normally maybe an assistant reaches out first, or maybe, like a chief of staff calls, or there's an email that says Ben Shapiro wants to call you. Like when Ben Shapiro calls and hey, I like y'all's sports show. I love sports. We want sports to be a pillar of the Daily Wire. Would you consider moving to Nashville? The 3 of us were like, yeah, man, absolutely, let's do it. And I didn't have any concrete ambitions right at that second to record new music. But since being here, I've written all this new material.
Sure.
We made the movie Lady Ballers.
I was going to say, this guy's been an actor, a singer, a videographer, a 5-star quarterback.
Not
recruit,
5-star. That's
3-star quarterback recruit. You've been a lot of things.
But when they told us that we had a chance to be in Lady Ballers and be in that movie and fight to keep men out of women's sports, and I don't know how everyone around here feels about that, but that was an important issue for us, especially now I have 2 daughters.
I think we're all...
That's when,
get them out.
That's when I thought, wait, we're gonna launch a new movie. I have all this this written material that's been unproduced, and Kent Wells has just recently had a meeting with me saying, hey, I'd like to record some of this. I thought, what better time than now when we release a movie when my profile
and
would be
how did you stumble onto him? How did you say you guys stumbled?
Man, it's really talking about
was it
God,
through all that, or
talking
through
about
the podcast?
God, no, talking about God working through you. I was at the Franklin Farmers Market. Franklin Farmers Market one random Saturday, and I heard a children's band playing a Peter, Paul, and Mary song that my dad really enjoyed growing up. It was the
Puff the Magic
Fox
Dragon?
and the not Puff the Magic Dragon, but I'll think of the name of it in a bit. But they were playing this song, and I just recorded a little snippet of it and sent it to my dad. Well, my dad looked them up and started following this kid's band that was playing there at Franklin Farmers Market, and lo and behold, they had just cut an album with Kent Wells. And so
Come on, that's
their mother
crazy.
told my dad that and said, here's the info for the Kyle, their assistant, which Kyle over there on Kent's team is fantastic, man. And he was the one that said, let's take a listen, and Kent listened to some of the songs, asked me if I'd come in for a meeting. We met for an hour, and basically Kent was saying, I love this material. I'd like to record this material. I just wanted to meet you first because you host a sports show. Do you want to record this material yourself? Are you trying to put on a persona? Are you trying to record as someone else? I said, I'm just David Cohn. Like the David Cohn who writes
my
music
songs.
is the David Cohn who says hopefully Michigan goes undefeated this year, is the same David Cohn who, is acting in Lady Baller. So I'm just me, and that was a big moment for us to go do that recording.
Jeffrey, I don't know if you know anything about this Lady Ballers movie.
No.
Jeffrey,
I know about it, but I didn't see it. So
I saw it.
okay, tell me.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just.
You really like
Watching
it?
tonight
No,
when I get home.
It's amazing, and to see this group of guys from the Daily Wire that aren't actors, I'm telling you, this felt like a Hollywood comedy, right in line with Anchorman. I'm a huge Anchorman person,
man.
and David, the Cranes, everybody that was in it. The little redheaded woman,
She was great.
Billy.
Yeah.
Billy Ray Brandt or something like that. Amazing. The movie is amazing. I don't know how they did it. These talented guys, or y'all had good directors
be
or
watching
coaching
this
or whatever, but it's hilarious. And, I was like, this is a first class movie. I loved it.
I'm really glad to hear that you enjoyed it that much, man. That's
Oh,
awesome.
no,
That's awesome.
I mean,
Because
obviously-
dodgeball was obviously a big influence, and Tropic
Yeah,
Thunder.
yeah.
The genesis for it was, it's like I said, I co-host a sports show with two brothers, and anytime Ben Shapiro would come in, we would always joke and say, like, we should infiltrate the WNBA. Like, they're letting dudes, like, go win these trophies and win these games. We should get Blaine to infiltrate the WNBA, and Ben would always laugh.
So it turned into
But finally, Ben laughed one time and called us back and said, hold on, maybe we should make a movie,
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
one thing led to another. We thought it might be a documentary or a mockumentary. Next thing we know, it's scripted feature, and I lost 30 pounds to be in that movie, man, just to run up and down the basketball court and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
But again, if you're gonna make a comedy, it has to be funny first. I don't care if your intentions are in the right place; it has to be funny first. I think the movie is funny first, but then underneath it has this heart to it, which is great.
Yeah.
And then underneath that, it has this message of how absurd is it that we have let these dudes play in women's sports, man? And like I don't know. Like I said, man, I have a 1-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old daughter right now, and I'm just looking around like, not on my watch. And obviously, we formed a great relationship with Riley Gaines over the years at our company and on our show. And to have her be in the movie, and I told her this on my new show, The Film Room, which I want both of you guys.
Riley
to,
Gaines. I'm sorry, I thought you said Riley Green, and then you said her.
Yeah,
Riley
he's great
Gaines,
too, man. I see
the
him
swimmer,
up there.
the swimmer.
Riley
yeah.
Gaines,
Yeah.
having her be in the movie though, sanctioned it for us.
Sure,
she's the
absolutely.
voice of the movement. So
Yeah.
when she agreed to have a cameo, it was like, yes, this is the movie that is officially, speaking out against this absurd issue.
All right,
Is it ever?
let's move more into Jeffrey's wheelhouse. You got an album coming out,
Yes, sir.
Richest Man in Town. Inspiration. You've already talked about the person that produced Dolly Parton. Give us some more details on that. And I know you guys got connections to people that helped you with it, that are tight with Jeffrey. Anyway.
Speaking about Kent Wells, he spoke very highly of you, sir, before I came in here today.
Man,
He's a
he's
big
wonderful.
fan. He really is. And again, Dolly Parton's longtime guitar player and producer. And so, again, just to reiterate, the fact that he even took a chance to hear my work tapes, much less produce the material, like really meant a lot to me. And, some of these songs, this is a 12-song album. Some of these songs I wrote in 2018, 2019, or at least started then,
Yeah, so
before,
you
right
gathered
before
them up. Yeah,
COVID hit,
sure. Yeah.
But the vast majority of them are brand new material, and including Richest Man in Town. I wrote that in February. I used to drink.
Did you
which
write
I
it during
played
the
for you.
sessions while you were doing the recording sessions?
No, I when it's time to I don't know how you do it, but when it's time to move into recording, it's like there's a part of my brain that's like, okay, we're recording the material that's been written, Yeah. I got Richest Man in Town, and I used to drink both finished right before the session
Oh, that's
started,
great.
though.
Yeah.
And I went to Kent and I said, hey, I think we should add these to the recording list. And he agreed. And then when I heard Richest Man in Town, I thought this needs to be the title.
Yeah.
This needs to be the title track. But also, and we're sort of, we're combining 12 songs here, some of which have already been released as singles, sort of waterfalling into a full album. And that was Just What America Needs was a song that I had released last year, and including American Made. Just songs that I may not have written in 2012, 13, and 14 when I was first starting songwriting. But looking at the current state of our country and America,
It makes sense.
Wait, yeah, I do want to be on record for what America needs. I do want to be on record. And so that song draws a lot of ire from people who, quite frankly, hate this country.
And good on you, because same thing for me as a guy who was already established, who took a lot of arrows for doing some songs that were,
Sure.
But it's what I've been doing my whole career.
Yeah.
I've been writing those kind of songs my whole career. I'm always saying that. I was getting back to your song, getting your songs ready for the album. Like I always find, like, when I get the songs ready for the album, I'm going in and you showed me that list of musicians that played on your phone there, like Jerry McPherson and some of the greatest players in Nashville that are all old friends of mine way back. But I would always have my songs, like you said, like you have your pile of songs that you had collected. And then when I knew I was going to go in and be with those guys, I would just get so inspired to write something last minute to try to impress them, just to try to impress the players, to get them to step up even more as players and contribute what they do with their great ideas musically. And so I didn't know if you had any of that, any of those moments going in.
I mean, it's so funny that you say that because I've been telling people, and it's like, you can only, like, they just, at some point, people need to hear the songs. You can only tell them about an album coming up so much. But I try and tell them, like, even if you don't like my songwriting, or you don't like my singing, or you don't like country music, there's one thing I can guarantee. The music being played behind what I'm singing is the best you're going to hear, because these are the best session players in the world.
That list
Not
is
just
pretty impressive.
and the best session players in the world are here in Nashville. Like, this is the
spot.
Yeah, the music
Without
capital of the
question.
world. So when you talk about McPherson, the father-son duo playing drums and playing, and Evan Hutchins, in all fairness, played drums on a lot of this
Evan's
stuff
great too.
Two
Evan's
different
amazing
sessions here that we knocked out. But with the McPherson father-son duo playing guitar and drums for the second session, what's really cool is that when I played the work tape of I Used to Drink, they laughed hysterically after the first chorus. And they said, Mitch Hedberg. And I thought, Kent, I didn't know that you were bringing guys in here who knew Mitch Hedberg. They got the joke. And so I was like, now I know this session's going to go, it's going to be a great session. But one more thing on that, I will say, because I haven't gotten to experience this a lot like you have. I've only done a couple Nashville sessions like this. But my favorite part of it is that 5 minutes between after you play the work tape for these guys who don't hear the songs in advance at all.
They're hearing
they
it for
want
the
to be
first
spontaneous.
time.
They're hearing the music
And just
for the first
you maybe
time.
into a scratchy little recording on your phone.
Scratching iPhone on these songs I just played you. Between hearing that and between when we officially hit record on the first take, that 5 minutes of noodling around, trying to find, like, what's the vibe.
That's like the golden hour of
It's so
recording.
cool, man. Because you're hearing geniuses, and I'm just in there in the vocal booth. Like, I've sung this song 300 times to get ready for this day, So I'm just listening, and to hear, like, the greatest session players in the world coming up with exactly what they're wanting to do.
And there's a lot of guys that produce that will just say, okay, play what's written. Play what's written, but I think it's really
they all
great.
have their charts.
Yeah,
they do have their charts.
But it's great when they hear it, and the producer or whoever, whatever kind of team is working on the music, allows for the musicians to be themselves and play what, because these guys here in this town are some of the greatest anywhere that have ever lived.
And they kept two of my guitar parts on two of the songs. Like, a lot of times I'm just starting off cold, but there was a couple songs where I was like, actually, I kind of feel strongly about these guitar parts. So I record them on the work tapes, and if they want to change them, they can. But there was two of them that they kept those guitar parts, and I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah. Love it.
Oh, you're 1 for 1. You put the bat on the ball. Let's see if that was a fluke or not.
A little bit different theme on this next one. This is called I Used to Drink. I used to drink, I used to smoke, I used to ride a motorbike fast as she go. I used to swear, used to yell. I used to gamble, fight, and raise all kinds of hell. I used to run with the rowdy crowd. Used to let fast women chase me all around. I used to sin, I can't deny. All the things I've done is something I'm alive. But the times are a-changing. They say I should as well. Oh, but if you want the truth, I used to drink, and I still do, but I used to too. I used to race, run my mouth, file my 45 and sing God Bless the South. I used to chew from tobacco cans. I used to wrangle bulls and ramble across this land. But it has seemed for quite a while my way of life is slowly going out of style. So I just say, well, I used to drink. People think I've turned a brand new leaf. 'Cause the times are a-changing. They say I should as well. Oh, but if you want the truth, I used to drink, and I still do, but I used to do. I guess the times are a-changing. They say I should as well. Oh, but if you want the truth, I used to drink and smoke and pipe and gamble late into the night. I used to drink, and I still do, but I used to too. I used to drink, and I still do. Think I'll have me a few.
That is quite the contrast.
That's a 180 right there.
Yeah, man, that was
Trying
fun.
to show you versatility today.
That was Butter. You can relate to that song. I know.
I used to too.
Yeah. Holy cow, Jeffrey, you can relate to that song.
Oh yeah, been a long time, but yeah.
So, Richest Man in Town, and you wrote that. You said when your dad was here in town.
I wrote that in this past February, like right before these recording sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, my parents were coming in town. My parents are so great, man. They come in. They, like I said, live near Savannah, Georgia, so it's 8 hours away from them.
Yeah.
They're here almost every month. You know, they're going to be here this Friday for the album release show. But they were in town that particular weekend, and they've known. I've been writing songs enough now that they know when that idea hits. You either work on it then, or you don't ever write it.
Yeah.
And my wife now is kind of, my wife understands now, like, oh, an idea hit him, And so I had that idea, Richest Man in Town, driving home on 65 South. My parents were just showing up for the weekend, and I was like, Dad, I got this idea, man. And so, I started messing around with it.
Yeah.
At least got the first chorus and or at least got the first verse and idea for a chorus set before we were like, okay, let's go have dinner and we can come back to it, But having him here that weekend when I knocked it out over a Saturday and Sunday was such a cool experience, just because he's a big fan of my music, and that was really cool.
So that song, and we'll hear it, you'll play it, but it tugs at your heartstrings. It's very soulful. I Used to Drink is fun. That's and so I guess it's a good indicator of your album. There's variety on it. It's very diverse. And you can do a little both. You can speak to people's hearts, and you can put a smile on people's face and get them in that party mood.
Yeah.
Anyway, tell us about I Used to Drink.
I Used to Drink was inspired by a Mitch Hedberg joke, the comedian. And I always liked this joke he had. He said, I used to do drugs. I mean, I still do, but I used to too. And there's other jokes like that. There's other jokes like that, like I don't drink anymore, but I don't drink any less. And I had an idea to write a song about that, and I looked it up as I was like, oh, I want to write that song. Jason Aldean has a hit on that song, right?
He does. That's right.
And which I think did Neil Thrasher maybe co-wrote was on that or something. So I was like, dang man, that was a good idea. I was heading home from a session though, and I just thought, maybe I could turn that Mitch Hedberg joke into a song. It can't be drugs. It can't be a country music song, but I used to drink. And then the other half of it, there's like this joke that I've heard before. I don't know whose joke this is, but something about like a man goes to the doctor and says, "Hey, doctor, do you think I could live to be 100?" And he says, "Well, I don't know. Do you smoke or do you drink?" He said, "No, I don't do that." He goes, "Well, do you eat a bunch of red meat?" He said, "No, I don't do that." He's like, "Well, do you ride fast motorcycles or do anything adventurous?" "No, I don't do any of that." And the doctor said, "Well, why the hell do you want to live to be 100 then?" And so those two jokes, I thought,
I'm so
I want to
stealing that
write
joke.
an old school bona fide country music song. I used to drink. I still do, but I used to. And when I took it to Kent Wells, and we were in that session, 3 artists came up for the inspiration for the music that they were going to play.
Who?
3 of the most pivotal influences on my life growing up.
Oh, really?
The Everly Brothers,
Wow.
Johnny Cash, and Elvis Presley. Okay, and so when we were talking
And
about
he looks
those
like
things,
every one of them.
yeah.
I was
You
gonna say,
got the look every one of those names you mentioned.
and well, okay, like, again, we can.
No,
cut
you got
that
the,
and just take that.
it's got the look.
I was gonna say that, Jeffrey. How important is the hair?
The hair's.
I mean, how important? I mean, does it remind you when you used to be in your 20s and 30s?
Yeah, I mean, I had
halfway jealous?
serious Elvis hair,
Yeah.
but then I grew up in the '80s, so it became a mullet, and that was a whole other era. But
I haven't gotten.
I
into
try
the
not to
mullet
remember
era.
that.
I am from South Georgia, but I haven't gotten.
David,
to the
you
mullet.
probably heard this joke, but I'm gonna see if you can write a song to this joke. I'm sure you know.
Hit me.
When I used to live out in California, I tell people, I spend 70% of my money on booze, whores, and gambling, and I waste the. I just blew the joke.
You got it.
I waste the rest.
Hey, let's work on that one together. Let's work on that one.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Just keep. Have you heard that joke before?
I haven't. I'm going to add that to the repertoire.
That's
man.
I
like that.
Waste the rest. David, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was awesome. Man, I had no idea that you were this good of a songwriter. Obviously, I knew you were a good athlete. Obviously, I know you got a great show over at the Crain Company. Do you guys you guys stick strictly to sports, or do you go out a little bit beyond that?
Man, it's funny that you asked that, because when we came to the Daily Wire, there were a lot of discussions about, what type of show do we want to be. And obviously we've been big fans of yours for a long time, big fan of Clay Travis as well. Mm-hmm. And, what Caleb Robinson, the CEO over there, told us from the very beginning was like, hey, be a great sports show. And just when you come down on something, our audience will feel secure that you're coming down on the right side of it, like men and women's sports, those sorts of things. And obviously taking shots at ESPN, which I know you know a lot about. And I'm sad that a show like ours even has to exist, because it speaks to the downfall of traditional media and ESPN. Yeah. I loved ESPN. I love Sports Center, right? Like, there was nothing better growing up as a kid. But where they've fallen, we've picking up that mantle. And I think we have a lot of sports fans who come to our show and they say, wow, you saved sports for me. So it's been, like I said, we have a great relationship with Riley Gaines. We do interviews with Riley Gaines. At the same time, we released just today a Georgia football preview for 2025. That's all about football. That's talking ball. That's what sort of personnel Georgia's going to be in when they face Alabama at home, and what that game's going to look like, and getting into the technical side of football, with all 3 of us having played and the other 2 brothers having coached football. So when an issue comes up, we try and hit on it. We try and be honest about what our views are. But for the most part, we try and stick to sports and give people an outlet from everything else.
Now, have you gone down the Caitlin Clark rabbit hole like myself? Or
a
you
good
guys?
bit. Yeah.
I'm a nut job. I watch the WNBA virtually every night.
It shocks me.
I'm sick. I have a sickness.
It shocks me, even as someone who has no, I don't expect anything from the WNBA, and it still shocks me that you have a golden goose that landed in your lap and you hate her. You can't put her on any marketing material. The way they treat her, I absolutely don't understand it. I think it just speaks to, their desire to be, again, talking about just what America needs. The follow-up to that would be just what America does not need. And that's what the WNBA
and I'm not
largely
close
represents.
to any of that like you are. But all I know about it is the green thing that got thrown on the court.
Yeah,
2 of them.
The
now.
pipe bomber. The pipe bomber got
They
arrested.
arrested someone.
Yeah, they
and I see
the pipe bomber.
And I see you're not in jail, so it wasn't you.
It was not me. It was not me. It was not me.
But I was going to say just what he said. Everything you explained about the show and what you do with your podcast. it speaks to, again, American freedom.
Yeah.
And people react and go, man, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah. Exactly.
And now you're offering this voice to them, and like and that's a real thing. And I'm just so grateful that we still are at a place where people can get to that moment where they call people on their BS, and another road opens up.
Again, 10 years ago, there
Like
wouldn't have been a need for that in my life. 10
Exactly,
years ago, there wouldn't have been a
exactly.
need for me to write American Made or Just What America Needs.
Exactly.
Now there is, and
Exactly.
I've seen that need. Jake and Blaine, my co-host, have seen that need, and we are filling that void.
Yeah.
We're just saying, like America's imperfection should not be used as a reason to hate this country. Like, this is a country that's still worth fighting for.
Yes.
You know, and
Yes.
and damn it, I'm gonna fight for it. And so that's what we're trying to do. With our show and with my music, and hopefully it resonates with someone.
I think it's awesome.
Well,
it's awesome.
you used to drink. I still do occasionally, and so I'll offer you a drink as we wrap
Here's to
up
it.
the
Here's
show.
to whatever it is.
Yeah,
Whatever you got.
this is some high-end rum that I. Anyway, thank you guys. That's it, and that's all for us today. We'll see you the next time on BYOG.
Bring your own guitar, old buddy. Bring your old guitar. We'll talk and drink and laugh and sing, but bring your own guitar.